then I'll try to do this little intro for Instagram.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Roll.
Okay, 1 second.
You tell me.
Oh, that's why. I'm on the Beyond the Beehive profile. Okay, if I go live. There we go.
Oh, it should be. This is on Utah Stories.
Oh, it's fine. No, you're good. No, I was mistakenly on the Beyond the Beehive.
You're good. All right.
I'm going to do the promo for Instagram real quick.
All right.
Hey, welcome. We are doing a live stream on YouTube, and we're going to be talking about the school closures of Granite School District and Salt Lake City School District. Parents are, I think, very justifiably up in arms over this issue, because if you move to a neighborhood with your kids and wanting to start a family, and you wanted to have your kids walk to school and have this nice community feel, then all of a sudden they just say, oh, we're going to close this school because we're going to save some money that way. I think you are getting ripped off as a taxpayer, as a parent, and that you really have no say, that the district just can come in and say, yeah, we're going to close your school, and you've got to now drive your kids 5 miles each way instead of having your kids walk to school. This is a big battle brewing between parents and the district, and I absolutely believe that parents should have more rights of where their taxpayer dollars are going. Because if you're paying property taxes, you know the biggest chunk of that payment is going to public schools, whether you have kids or not. So I wish we could stay on both Instagram and YouTube at the same time. I can't be holding my phone the whole time. So go out to YouTube, check us out. We're going to be talking about this subject here with Taylor Hartman, one of our writers.
Hello.
And join us there. And I really hope people will share this episode, especially because this is a big issue where I think it's not being clearly pointed out or portrayed by the district of what's actually going on. We want to get to the bottom of it. So go join us on our YouTube channel, Utah Stories, and we'll be there live. Thanks for watching. Okay. How is the district justifying the closing of public schools when parents are paying the bill? Question mark. Okay, my phone's almost dead. Ryan, could I ask you a favor? Could you see if you can find that charger?
Yeah,
There's one.
There's one right here.
Oh,
You take USB-C.
it's just the older format.
Oh, the older one.
I have my charger. I don't have a clock though. This is mine. Do we have
I just had the thing. I think I moved it over to my desk. The thing you plug in the wall. Okay, we're ready.
where am I plugging it in?
Wherever you want.
Phone's over here when you're ready for it.
Okay.
All right, you tell me when you're good.
Alrighty. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome. So if you've got a kid in public school and you might have moved to a neighborhood because you read that the schools are good and that it's a nice walkable neighborhood, and then all of a sudden the district says, oh, we're deciding to close your kid's school, and now you got to move your kid 5 miles each way and be picking them up from school, that is a massive detriment on the reasoning why people move to neighborhoods. So right now, just above the street from where we're sitting right now, there is a big battle brewing between parents and administrators of the district, the Granite School District, about closing Eastwood School. And Eastwood is where I actually went to elementary school. It's a wonderful little building. It's a very community-oriented school. And I can absolutely, even though my kids are not going to Eastwood School, I can absolutely identify with the parents why they are so pissed off and up in arms over this closure, because the school is half full. It's not full. So with me on the program today is longtime Utah Stories writer contributor Taylor Hartman.
Hello. Hi.
Thanks for joining me today.
Super happy to be here. Thanks
So
for
you-
having me.
Yeah, and you haven't written about this subject in particular, but there's just so many unanswered questions about why they would be closing the schools. We did a little bit of research before the show. Just on the side of the district, what did you find?
So the district, it's kind of the trend that seems to be happening in a lot of different places with institutions where in the name of efficiency, they close things down and try to streamline things, but the end user, right? The person, the parents, the students, the people who can, use the school as a community hub, get your friends, play on the playground with people. Those people aren't thought of as much as district efficiency is thought of. I know Granite School District has been closing down schools for quite some time at this point. And they do so because they say that if a school is at a certain percentage of students, if it's under 50% of the total capacity of students, they'll just close it down. And they say it's because of, efficiencies, right? You're paying to heat a building that not everybody's in. You're paying for admin costs for these students, or having a full administration that's only serving a certain number of people. But the last time I checked, having fewer pupils and more people paying attention to those students gives better educational outcomes, right? Having more attention given to each student individually, being able to walk to school, having your school in your neighborhood. I mean, that's all part of the world that we grew up in. I went to school, my elementary school was less than a mile from my house.
Yeah.
So I could bike and walk there.
Yeah, I think it's a very short-sighted way to look at the best and best use of taxpayers of money, especially if your number one consideration is the experience of the kids.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
I love the experience of walking to school every day. My parents could be kind of checked out, and I could walk home. And I was a latchkey kid. I'm a Gen Xer.
Right.
I would just get home and nobody be home, and I'd have my home to myself.
For sure.
And then I'd go ransack the neighborhood, and me and my friends would go have a fun time. If you are telling parents, no, you've got to drive your child to school every morning. Sometimes schools don't start till 8:30. Work starts at 8. So
Right.
somebody's going to be missing a half hour of work. Then you got to pick up your child at 3:00. You're really cutting into both the experience of the children and the time of the parents, which they completely just neglect that point of view.
Absolutely. I mean, the burden is so clearly on the parent now, right? And I mean, from childcare, right, before that you can have a kid in elementary school. I mean, back in the day, it was, you go to an elementary school and you're able to trust that your children are there and they're close by and you can live your life as a parent. But now I feel like, we see this all over the place where, one member of the household is deciding to stop working at their job because it's just easier to be a full-time chauffeur and childcare person for your kids because like you said, I mean, the burden's on the parent and not the school district to provide that assistance.
Yeah. And so I contacted the district. I have a whole list of questions, and this is why I'm asking anybody watching this, please share this with a few friends, because the only way the district is going to respond and take the time to answer my questions is if there's enough pressure put on them where they feel like they can't not answer the questions, because these are very difficult questions to answer. It will take them a lot of time and a lot of digging and a lot of thought that I think that they have not put into these decisions. These are my questions. So, how many students were attending Eastwood Elementary in 1985 until today? And what is the reason the student population has declined? Obviously, the neighborhoods have aged out to a degree, but I've seen almost 100% turnover in the neighborhood I grew up in where my mom and dad still live. Like, there's all new families, all new parents. I think that one of the key factors of why you're seeing a massive decline in public schools is like that people like myself are fed up with all of the extra days off, all of these burdens, additional burdens being put on parents through public schools, and they're just switching to charter schools.
Right.
My daughter in a charter school now, she doesn't have like teacher work day, second teacher work day, short day, like all these days off, like so many days off that's burdened me as the parent, where I have to go pick up my kid early. I have to find a way to put him in a daycare. I have to figure out how are we going to accommodate, her being off these extra 3, 4, 5 days. In the charter school, they don't do that. They have like, you can have early dismissal or late dismissal. Is it better for you to drop off your kid earlier or later?
Bring them in later.
Like they're accommodating to parents' needs. And then not only that, when you have a kid like mine who's always going to try to see what she can get away with, they're offloading the discipline to the parents. They don't want to do
True.
discipline in public schools anymore.
Yeah.
They're like, your kid was bad today. You better figure out why she's bad. I'm like, how about you deal with the discipline by putting her in timeout or having some negative consequence to negative behavior? They said they don't do that anymore. There's no timeout in schools. There's no sending the kid to the principal to sit there in a chair and be really bored because they misbehaved. That's gone.
Interesting.
And so I just like, I'm done. I
Well,
pulled her out.
The educational outcomes in public schools in Utah have not been very good. The Utah the Olympic Committee recently, in partnership with the Kim C. Gardner Institute, released that less than half of third graders in Utah are proficient in reading for their grade.
That blows my mind.
And that's Utah consistently ranks in some of the lowest spend per pupil in the United States of America. We consistently rank in some of the, lowest educational outcomes in the United States. And I do think that causes a lot of people in some of these areas to look for other options for education. I mean, the federal government and what they've been doing recently with charter schools, that's, they put more funding into charter schools and schools that aren't necessarily publicly funded. Of course, they're gutting the Department of Education almost entirely. And so, again, I mean, broadly in our society right now, there's not a focus on education, and the focus on education, the onus goes to the family, right?
Yeah.
You have to teach
Yeah.
your daughter the things that your daughter you believe should learn, because quite frankly, she may not get it anywhere else,
And
right?
that's exactly what I learned is she will never be a proficient reader unless I'm reading with her every
Right.
night.
And-
That was not the case when I was in school.
Well,
We-
I think one of the best things my parents did to me was they read to me and my brother every night before bed. Like we read all of the Harry Potters and everything. And, I mean, you in America today, and I grew up in the 90s. I mean, right now, as a parent, you really have to encourage curiosity and finding information and, like education and reading and all of those things, because we don't value that as a society anymore.
Yeah. And I get that parents are reluctant to discipline children or teachers are reluctant to discipline children because they don't want the parents coming after them. Like I get how parents can be way overzealous about, oh, you better treat my little Johnny with the utmost care.
Helicopter parents.
Yeah, exactly. But the problem is, I went and visited my daughter's classroom, and absolute respect to the teachers. I love the teachers. They were awesome. They're doing the very best job they can do. And the most of the administrators, total respect. However, what I could see was missing was kids just sitting down, giving the teacher their undivided attention, where if the kid was misbehaving, the teacher would have any kind of recourse that could produce more order and less chaos in the
Right.
classroom. I
Right.
witnessed so much chaos, and the teacher having to deal with the chaos of the kids, that how is the teacher going to accomplish anything? Of course they're going to rely on the parents to be teaching the kids, their own kids, what they need to learn. But then again, what's the point of a public school if you're not teaching kids good behavior, teaching them to sit down and be quiet and give respect to adults,
Right.
and learn respect for learning, and that you have to be quiet. And so I was just like, you guys are all doing the best job you can. Your hands are tied where you can't discipline kids anymore. You have no control over the classroom, and I'm sorry, but I'm gone. I'm taking my kid out.
Yeah.
And so it's sad. Yeah, I pulled up this graph. You can show it, Jack. Utah is ranked 37th in the nation with overall public school rankings.
And that's higher than it's been over the decades, to be honest. That's usually, I think Utah ranks even a little lower in a lot of those. And our per pupil spending is...
Yeah, this is based on 4 categories: K-12 performance, school funding, resources, higher education quality, safety. So it doesn't look at just test scores. I think if we looked at just test scores, we'd get a different. But because we see here math and reading, Utah students have improved in math and reading. We have an increase in proficiency from 32% to 35%. That means only...
Oh, great.
That only means 3 in 10 are proficient. That's pretty horrible. And but anyhow, back to my point of why they're closing. Now that we do have school choice in Utah to a large degree, I think many parents are choosing, no, I want charter school, I want private school.
Right.
And so why not make your public schools more competitive? Why not give parents a good reason to attend, to have their kids enroll? That's my question to Granite School District. Like, what changes are you implementing to make your schools more competitive?
Or over time, do we see our property taxes go down? I mean, a big thing we were talking about before recording, Rich, is like, we spend a large amount of our property taxes on schools, and
Yeah,
I'm not
huge.
saying that, I'm one who believes in funding schools, but I do kind of want to see the receipts, and I think
Yeah.
that's what you're experiencing with Granite is, I need the why behind this, and not just, oh, there aren't enough students, right?
Yeah. So my questions, I'll put them up here because I'm not going to read them all, but I would really like to know the administrative costs of Granite School District over the past 40 years. Like the admin costs at the University of Utah, that's why tuition has more than doubled over the last 10 years.
Wow.
They have this bloated administration, and it's basically people who are just like doing what? I don't know. But it just takes a lot of administrators to run a school. And then we noticed that Hawthorne Elementary, there's 10 schools that have been closed by Granite School District. They're not selling off the land and giving the taxpayers the money. What they're doing is they're maintaining the land and putting up fences in many cases where it's just like cut off and it's just there as an eyesore, a closed school. Like, what's going to happen with these properties? And then I wanted to know, like, if we could have a pie chart. This is the biggest question. What percentage is going to teachers of the money? What percentage is going to administrators? And what percentage is going to building upkeep and maintenance? And how has that pie chart changed since 1985 to today?
Right. I know that, school district officials have cited inflation as one of the reasons why, but it's like, where, right? Like what part of this is there that inflation? Is
Yeah.
it spending money to heat the building? Is it, getting school supplies? I mean, like you said, that pie chart and how has it shifted over time, right? I think would be very telling.
Yeah. And I also think that my number 10 question, if all the students of Eastwood are going to be going to Morningside, which is about 5 miles away from where I grew up, will that increase in class sizes not become a strain on the teachers who are at Morningside and be a detriment to all students overall? And if they don't know the answer to that question, then I think the assumption could be absolutely it'll be a strain and a detriment to everybody, because you pack more kids into one building, it's always going to be more difficult than if you have fewer.
100%.
So, and the reason why I also bring that up is my daughter's school was a funnel school for 2 other closures.
Okay.
The schools that closed in the neighborhood near our house was, I had it written down here. Anyhow, 2 schools in Murray had closed, and they funneled them all into this Woodstock school, and there was 123 kids in her class.
Wow,
Like it was divided between 4 different classrooms.
that's huge.
But if you're going to school and you're a kid, and you're going to be growing up with these kids between K and 6th grade, I remember just this little cohort of kids I had with me at Eastwood. We all grew up together. We all went through K through 6th grade. We all knew each other. You're never going to know 125 kids.
I think about my elementary school pictures, and it was me with, maybe 2 rows of kids, right?
Yeah.
24 student class sizes, and that's still half of what your daughter's class size was. And I couldn't imagine, being in a class of 40 people in 3rd grade.
Yeah, or going out to recess and there's 120 faces
Wow.
of kids your age, and you're like, where do I fit in? Who am I supposed to play with? And I think it lends itself to kids becoming more cliquey and exclusive and stuff you see in high school that I don't think grade school kids should have to contend with.
Well, and how can you give individual attention? We know that school is largely built in ways that's only meant for certain types of students and learners. If
Yeah.
you have people who are bouncing all around, and you have, teachers and administrators who are spending less time per pupil, then people are going to get lost in the crowd, and students who need individual attention aren't going to get that attention. And it's just the same as everything. It's just the monopolization of institutions, and concentrating everything into one place, and treating humans like cattle because it's easier to predict if you put them in a room and you push them through the same thing. But it doesn't allow for a life, and it doesn't allow for a child to learn.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, if you're watching this video and you have a kid, or you had a kid in a school that closed, we'd love to hear from you. Our point of this is to create a dialogue and a discussion. And of course, I'm not pointing fingers and saying that the district is, full of a bunch of terrible people. Our point is to facilitate a discussion and a dialogue about it, and point out the obvious things that are causing these problems to happen, and finding out the best solution. So if you like all that, share this with a couple of friends, and like the video. That helps the algorithm. And yeah, thanks for watching. We're going to record another segment after this, but we'll take a little break and we'll be right back.